Ladies and gentlemen, honored guests and dignitaries, I'd like to welcome you to the opening session of the most important investigative commission of our time, the Mueller Commission. We have before us a very important question today. Is that true? We've just sung a song that says, "You never let go of me." Is that true? Is it true that God never lets go of us through every storm of life? We know He's by our side. Well, we're going to find out today. I have assembled an excellent team here of people who have had experience walking with God through these sorts of situations. And so we're going to hear from a whole set of Bible characters who are going to help us to answer the question, is it true that God never lets go of us? Our first guest today is someone who has lots of experience walking with Jesus, the Apostle Peter. Welcome, Peter, and thank you for joining us today.
Well, you're welcome. Glad to help out on this important question.
I can see that you have brought with you a prop here today to help to illustrate your case.
Yes, indeed, I have. This was the paddle that I used the night that God never let go of me.
Great. Why don't you tell us about it?
Well, as I recall, Jesus had a busy day of teaching. Everyone wanted to hear him, to talk to him, to touch him. And he just wanted to have some time to pray. He told us to head across the lake and he'd meet us later. Then he went up the mountain to pray.
So that's why you had the paddle? You were on a boat that day?
Yes, indeed, I was on a boat that day. I remember it like yesterday. The rest of Jesus' disciples were packed into the boat with me, when all of a sudden, things got out of hand. The wind started to blow, the waves started slamming into the boat, and we all got pretty scared.
Well, hold on there, Peter. You say that you were scared, and yet you're a fisherman. You've spent the majority of your life on the sea. You make a living from the water, and yet you were scared?
Well, that's true. I did spend my life on the water fishing, but this was a storm like no other. Huge waves, wind howling like a pack of wolves. I thought for sure we were going down. And yet, that wasn't the scariest thing.
Really? What could be scarier?
A ghost.
A ghost? You saw a ghost?
Well, we thought we saw a ghost. But with all the wind and the rain and the darkness, it was hard to be sure. And we were terrified, until it started talking to us.
It started to talk to you? The ghost talked to you?
Well, yes and no. Because it turns out it wasn't a ghost, it was Jesus. He said, "Take courage, it is I, don't be afraid." I'll never forget it. He came walking across the water as sure as if he were walking on land.
That's amazing.
I'll say, there we were, terrified in a little boat. And there he was, walking on the water like it was no big deal.
What happened next?
Well, I don't know what took hold of me, but I got it into my head that I should overcome and walk with Jesus. I threw my paddle to the side and said, "Lord, if it's you, tell me to come with you on the water."
Hold on, you got out of the boat and got onto the water?
Yep, I did. Jesus said, "Come," and so I did. I got down out of the boat and took a couple steps into the water. Then I got afraid. I took my eyes off Jesus and thought about the storm, and I started to sink. "Lord, save me," I cried. Jesus reached out and pulled me to safety. "Oh, Peter, why did you doubt?" he said. "I will never let go of you." And with that, the storm stopped. He walked on water, stilled the storm, and kept me safe throughout.
Wow, that is fascinating.
Yeah, and it's a true story. And I was afraid, he never let go of me.
Wow, what a powerful testimony, Peter. When you were afraid, God never let go of you. Wow, that's very helpful. Thank you, Peter, for sharing your testimony with us. And we'll be right back after this pause for praise. Our next guest is someone who needs no introduction. If you said you did not know who he was, I would say you'd be lying. Straight from Babylon, it's Daniel.
I've heard that joke so long, I'm getting sick and tired of it, really.
Okay.
That's not in the script, so he didn't know I was going to say it.
Live television at its best, folks. So thank you for being here. I see that you have actually brought with you a prop, not a real one, thankfully. One over step. There we go. One over, Daniel. One step. Perfect.
No, not really one that's a lot scarier and more dangerous that I know.
Yeah, I would think that you can put your bag down. That's fine. Do you want me to hold the lion for you?
Thank you.
Okay. The real ones are more scary. Is that correct?
Very, very true.
Okay.
Very true.
Well, let's see. Tell us what happened, Daniel.
Well, my people were taken prisoner in a foreign land. We were carried away from our homes and made to live in this strange new world. And yet even there, God was with us. I knew he was faithful, and so I never stopped being faithful to him. No matter where he was or where I was, he knew he was listening. And so I prayed to him 3 times a day, every day.
Well, that's a good thing to do. Where does the lion come in?
Well, I'll tell you. Good question. Not everyone thought my prayers were great. And in fact, because of God's favor, I was given a lot of authority in the land. And because of that, there was a lot of people who had it out for me. They decided to turn the king against me and tricked him into signing a law that people could only ever pray to him or else they'd be thrown to the lions.
See. What did you do? I assume you didn't want to get thrown to the lions.
No, but I didn't want to stop praying either. And I decided that even when I was in danger, God would never let me go. I trusted God more than I feared the lions, so I kept on praying.
Wow. I take it, though, that you got caught.
Oh, yeah, I sure did. I went up to my room to pray 3 times a day, and every day, just like I always did, and those weasels went and reported me to the king. He knew he had been tricked, but couldn't cancel the law. So he agreed to throw me to the lions and see what happened.
Okay, so what happened next?
You're supposed to be eating popcorn.
What happened next?
I'll never forget it. The king of the land came down to me and said, May your God, whom you serve continually, rescue you. And then they put a stone over the mouth of the den.
That's terrifying.
Well, yes, but I knew that when I was in danger, God would never let me go. It was a long night, but just as they shut the mouth of the den with the big rock, God shut the mouth of the lions, so they couldn't get me. They actually were big softies once you got past the bone-crushing jaws. And the king, he was so impressed by it all that he made an announcement all throughout the land that all people should honor God because he rescues and saves. But I always knew that.
So you knew you were in danger, but you also knew that God would never let go of you.
Yep, that's right. When I was in danger, God never let go of me.
Wow, that is a powerful testimony. Thank you, Daniel, for being here today to tell us about it.
Thank God I'm here today because of him.
Well said, Daniel. Well said. Well, we'll be right back after another pause here for praise. Well, welcome back. Welcome back to the Mueller Commission. Today we are investigating the claim that God never lets us go. He always takes care of us. And so far we have heard 2 testimonies. We heard from Peter that when he was afraid, God never let go of him. And we heard from Daniel that when he was in danger, God never let go of him. Let's hear now from our 3rd witness, the prophet Elijah. Welcome, Elijah. Well, Elijah, what can you tell us about your experience with God?
My experience with God was intense. High highs and low lows.
Okay, and what do you mean by that?
One day, the king accused me of causing trouble for Israel. But I said, no, you're the one causing trouble for Israel with all your idols and false gods. And so I challenged his gods to a showdown with the Lord. I told him to bring all his people and all his false prophets to the mountain, and we made offerings to the gods to see who was real.
Wow, that is pretty intense.
Yes. Intense. Me versus 800 false prophets, the Lord versus the Baals. Those 800 liars made an offering to their gods. They set up an altar and put a bull on it and danced around it and called out to Baal and even cut themselves trying to get his attention. I said, maybe he's too busy sleeping or doing his taxes. Better try harder. But nothing worked. No God answered all day long.
Because there was no God listening.
Yes, that was the point. Only Yahweh exists. Only Yahweh can answer. And so I showed them, to everybody else.
I'm ready.
Everybody else was so enamored with Baal.
I'll pick that up later.
Yeah. I alone rebuilt the altar and dug a trench and arranged the wood and put the bull on the altar. And the people poured huge jars of water on the offering 3 times over so that the water splashed everywhere. And then I stepped forward and prayed, O Lord God of Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, let it be known today that you are God in Israel, and that I am your servant, and have done all these things at your command. Answer me, O Lord, answer me, so these people will know that you, O Lord, are God, and that you are turning their hearts back again. And just like that, the fire of the Lord fell and burned up the sacrifices, the wood and the stones, and even the water that had filled the trench. The people cried out, the Lord, he is God. The Lord, he is God.
That's incredible. What a triumph. You must have been ecstatic.
Actually, I was quite depressed. What good is it when I'm the only one faithful to the Lord? What good is it when I'm all alone? I went out into the desert and prayed, I've had enough, Lord. Take my life. I'm no better than my ancestors.
Wow, you weren't kidding. Highest highs and lowest lows, eh?
Yeah. How would you like it if you were all alone? The only one in a nation of ingrates to honor the Lord for all that he is. It was frustrating. It was discouraging. It was lonely. But when I was alone, God never let go of me. I woke up from a sleep, and there was a loaf of bread baking on hot coals and a jug of water, and an angel saying, eat, drink, for you have a long journey ahead. 40 days later, I was at the mountain of God. And you know what he said there?
What?
He said, I know these things have been tough for you lately, and I know that you feel like you're all alone, but you're not, Elijah. I am with you every step of the way, and there are 7,000 more in Israel who have not given their allegiance to Baal. It may feel like you're all alone, Elijah, but you're not. The faithful God and your faithful brothers and sisters stand with you. It was all I needed to hear to know that I was not alone.
So when you were alone, God never let go of you?
Yes, that's true. When I was alone, God never let go of me. Knowing that I was not alone gave me courage to do what God called me to do.
Thank you, Elijah, for being here and sharing with us today. And we'll be right back with one more witness. Thank you, yes. Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Mueller Commission. As you recall, we are investigating the statement, God never let me go. From Peter, we heard that when we are afraid, God never lets go of us. From Daniel, we heard that when he is in danger, God never lets go of us. And from Elijah, we heard that when you are alone, God never let go of him. I can hardly wait to hear what our final guest has to say. This person is no stranger to danger. Please welcome the Apostle Paul. Perfect. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Well, Paul, so far we have heard some stunning testimony about the ways that God never lets go of us. When we are alone, when we are in danger, when we are afraid, God never lets them go. I can hardly wait to hear from you. Maybe when you're worried or sad or overwhelmed, God never let go of you.
Well, those things are true, but I was actually thinking I would take a different approach. Even when I sinned, God never let go of me.
Wait, what? Even when you sinned, God let go of you? That doesn't make any sense. If you sin, you're going against God's will. Why would he stick with you even then?
That's the great mercy of God at work, and I know it firsthand. See, when I first heard about Jesus and his followers, I hated them. They went around saying that God accepted us by grace through faith and not by the mountain of good works that I had worked hard to accumulate. I couldn't stomach that idea, and I was eager to keep the law of God, and so I persecuted Christians.
Wait, you persecuted Christians? Like you, popcorn shell. You went after them to get them? Paul, you're the super apostle, Paul.
Oh yeah, big time. I got letters from the high priest to go to town, arresting believers and chaining them up, dragging them to Jerusalem for trial. I'm ashamed to say that some believers might even have died because of me. And yet, even then, God didn't let go of me. I was off on one of my manhunts up in Syria when all of a sudden a bright light from heaven flashed all around me. I fell to the ground and heard a voice saying, Saul, Saul, why are you persecuting me? Who are you, Lord? I asked. It was Jesus. He told me to go into town and wait there. The people with me could hear his voice, but couldn't see anyone. When I stood up, I realized I couldn't see anything. There were these things, like scales on my eyes, that made me blind. And so my companions took me into town. For 3 days, I ate nothing. I drank nothing until one day a disciple named Ananias came to me. He said, "Get up, Paul, wash away your sins and put your faith in Jesus, for he has a mission for you, to reach the world." And so I did. Counting everything else as a loss, I put my faith in Jesus and gained everything. When I did that, the scales fell off my eyes and I could see. That's how I became a missionary of the world.
Wow, Paul, and to think that all began while you were still a sinner.
That's right. That's the mercy of God. Instead of discarding me when I was a sinner, he redeemed me and gave me a job and a purpose.
But why would he even do that, I wonder?
I've spent a lot of time thinking about that question. I actually wrote about it in my first letter to my friend Timothy, 1 Timothy 1:16. I think I was shown mercy so that Jesus could always point to me and say, if I can be merciful to him, the worst of sinners, I can be merciful to you.
So you're saying that even if we have sinned, God never lets us go. He redeems us and puts us on the right path?
That's right. Amazing, isn't it?
I'll say, and I'm really glad to hear it. You know, I haven't mentioned it yet, but my name is Balaam, and I actually have a similar story to yours.
Really? Let's hear it.
Well, I thought I knew what I was doing, paying no attention to God. And then this king, Balak, hired me to curse God's people. I tried to do it, but I couldn't. God actually sent this angel to stand in the way of my donkey so I couldn't get through. The donkey even talked, telling me to stop what I was doing. This commission is actually named after him, the Mueller Commission. I'm so thankful that God is more forgiving than this audience. I'm thankful that God never let go of me. He kept me from the worst of my sin and gave me a second chance.
God is like that. Thank goodness.
Amen. Well, I think we have heard enough. When we are afraid, God never lets go of us. When we are in danger, God never lets go of us. When we are alone, God never lets go of us. Even when we have sinned, God never lets us go. He is faithful all the time and everywhere. Thanks for joining us for the Mueller Commission. Let's stand together and sing.